The hand that never healed. Lou Gehrig breaks his hand in 1925, and it never heals properly, creating a permanent disability that affects every swing, every catch, every throw for the remaining 14 years of his career. The break occurs in 3 places across his left hand, damage so severe that doctors recommend immediate surgery and months of recovery time that would end his consecutive game streak before it truly begins. But Lou refuses all medical intervention, choosing instead to play through constant pain while developing increasingly sophisticated compensatory techniques that hide his handicap from teammates, opponents, fans, and even family members who never suspect that the Iron Horse is performing superhuman feats while working with what amounts to a permanently broken tool that causes daily agony. Yankee Stadium, New York. June 2, 1925. Bottom of the 7th inning. Lou Gehrig slides hard into second base, trying to break up a double play that could change the momentum of a crucial game against the Cleveland Indians. The slide is clean, aggressive, exactly the kind of hustle play that managers and teammates appreciate from a player who's still trying to establish himself as an everyday major leaguer. But as Lou's hand hits the base, it catches at an awkward angle between his body weight and the unforgiving hard-packed dirt. The sound of breaking bones is audible to the second baseman, a sharp crack that makes both players wince with sympathetic pain. Lou feels the break immediately, a shooting agony that travels from his left hand up through his wrist and forearm. He knows something serious has happened, can tell from the way his fingers refuse to respond normally when he tries to make a fist. But the game continues. The inning isn't over, and Lou has spent his entire young career trying to prove that he belongs at this level of professional baseball. Standing up from the slide, shaking his hand as if to dismiss minor discomfort, Lou jogs back to the dugout and takes his position for the next at-bat without saying anything to coaches or teammates about the injury. The pain intensifies throughout the remainder of the game, but Lou completes all his defensive responsibilities and takes his scheduled at-bats, adapting his grip and swing mechanics to accommodate whatever damage has occurred to his hand. He doesn't know yet that he's broken 3 separate bones, creating fractures that will require surgical intervention and months of rehabilitation to heal properly. All Lou knows is that his hand hurts more than anything he's ever experienced, but admitting injury could mean losing his spot in the lineup to another player who's healthy and eager for the opportunity. After the game, Lou examines his hand privately in the clubhouse bathroom, noting the swelling and discoloration that confirms significant injury. His fingers move stiffly, his grip strength is noticeably reduced, and certain movements cause sharp spikes of pain that make him gasp involuntarily. Any reasonable person would seek immediate medical attention, would report the injury to team trainers, would accept that playing professional baseball with a broken hand is impossible and potentially dangerous. But Lou Gehrig isn't reasonable about injuries, about pain, or about anything that might interfere with his opportunity to play Major League Baseball every single day. He wraps his hand tightly with medical tape, practices gripping a bat until he finds angles that minimize the worst pain, and reports to the stadium the next day as if nothing has happened. When teammates ask about his taped hand, Lou says he tweaked his wrist during the slide and the tape is just precautionary, nothing serious enough to affect his play. The decision to play through the broken hand transforms what should have been a temporary injury into a permanent disability. Without proper medical treatment, the bones heal incorrectly, creating a hand that will never function normally again. Lou's grip is permanently altered, his finger flexibility is reduced, and certain movements cause chronic pain that becomes part of his daily existence for the next 14 years. He essentially chooses to end his career as a healthy athlete in order to continue his career as a disabled one, accepting permanent physical compromise rather than temporary absence from the lineup. Lou develops elaborate and increasingly sophisticated techniques to hide his handicap from everyone around him, becoming perhaps the first professional athlete to successfully compete at the highest level while concealing a significant permanent disability. He learns to grip his bat differently, positioning his broken hand in ways that distribute pressure away from the most damaged areas while still generating the bat speed and control necessary for major league hitting. The adaptation process takes months of painful experimentation, during which Lou's performance suffers noticeably as he learns to hit effectively with what amounts to an entirely new physical configuration. The technical adjustments Lou makes become so complex that he essentially reinvents how to play baseball with a disabled hand. He develops multiple grip variations for different pitch types, learning to adjust his hand position microseconds before contact based on what he anticipates from the pitcher. His pre-swing routine includes subtle movements that position his broken bones in the least painful configuration while maintaining the appearance of normal batting preparation. These adaptations require extraordinary mental processing during at-bats, as Lou must simultaneously analyze pitching patterns, calculate his swing adjustments, and manage pain levels while executing techniques that healthy players never need to consider. The broken hand affects Lou's fielding even more than his hitting, because catching and throwing require finger flexibility and grip strength that his injury has permanently compromised. Lou teaches himself to catch fly balls using different hand positions, to field ground balls with modified techniques that compensate for his reduced dexterity. His throwing mechanics change completely as he develops ways to release the ball cleanly despite fingers that no longer move with their original precision and coordination. Most remarkably, Lou's adaptations become so sophisticated that his performance actually improves in many areas, despite his permanent handicap. The necessity of perfect technique to overcome his physical limitation forces him to develop more efficient movement patterns, better timing, and more precise mechanics than he might have achieved with healthy hands. His broken hand becomes a secret source of strength rather than just a hidden weakness, proving that human adaptation can transcend physical limitation when motivation is strong enough. Lou's teammates never suspect that he's playing with a permanent disability, because his performance remains at elite levels and his attitude never suggests that he's dealing with ongoing physical challenges. They see him tape his hand regularly and assume it's preventative maintenance rather than management of chronic injury. Lou encourages this misunderstanding by making casual references to old injuries that need minor attention, deflecting curiosity without outright lying about his condition. Eleanor experiences the reality of Lou's broken hand, most directly because she lives with him daily and witnesses the private struggles that he hides from everyone else in his professional and public life. She watches him soak his hand in ice water every night after games, sees the careful way he moves his fingers when he thinks nobody is looking, observes him practice simple daily tasks like buttoning shirts or writing letters until he can perform them without obvious difficulty. Eleanor understands that Lou's hand causes him constant discomfort that ranges from dull aching to sharp spikes of pain depending on weather, activity level, and the accumulation of stress from repeated use during games. Eleanor also witnesses the emotional toll of living with a hidden disability, watching Lou struggle with the isolation that comes from never being able to discuss his daily pain or seek sympathy for the extraordinary effort required to perform routine tasks. She recognizes that asking him to seek medical treatment or consider corrective surgery would mean asking him to potentially end his consecutive game streak for the sake of healing an injury he's already learned to live with, an adaptation that has become central to his identity as both an athlete and a person. The broken hand creates unique challenges during contract negotiations, because Lou can never admit to any permanent physical limitation that might affect his value as a player. He must negotiate as if he's completely healthy while managing a disability that affects every aspect of his baseball performance. Lou becomes expert at demonstrating his capabilities during physical evaluations while concealing the compensatory techniques that make those capabilities possible despite his handicap. Lou's secret disability affects his approach to other injuries throughout his career, because he has already proven to himself that serious physical problems can be overcome through adaptation and determination, rather than medical intervention and rest. When Lou suffers additional injuries, he applies the same philosophy he used with his broken hand, seeking ways to play through damage rather than seeking treatment that might sideline him temporarily but heal him completely. The psychological impact of playing with a permanently broken hand extends far beyond the physical challenges, affecting Lou's relationship with pain, with limitation, and with his own body, in ways that shape his character and his approach to life's difficulties. Living with chronic discomfort teaches Lou that pain is not an emergency requiring immediate resolution, but a condition that can be managed indefinitely through mental discipline and creative adaptation. Lou's broken hand influences how he mentors younger players because he understands from personal experience that apparent limitations can be overcome through dedication, creativity, and willingness to develop new techniques rather than accepting defeat. He teaches teammates that setbacks are opportunities to discover better ways of achieving their goals, though he never reveals the personal experience that taught him this philosophy. The hidden handicap also affects Lou's perspective on his consecutive game streak, because he knows that every game he plays represents not just reliability, but triumph over a permanent physical limitation that would have ended most players' careers immediately. His streak isn't just about showing up every day. It's about showing up every day while managing a disability that makes showing up significantly more difficult, more painful, and more technically challenging than anyone realizes. Each game becomes a small miracle of adaptation, determination, and pain management, rather than simply a demonstration of durability and dedication. Lou's broken hand influences his approach to training and preparation in ways that transform him into a more complete player than he might have become with healthy hands. The necessity of perfect technique to overcome his physical limitation forces him to study hitting mechanics, fielding fundamentals, and throwing techniques with obsessive attention to detail. He becomes a student of efficiency and precision because he cannot afford the margin of error that healthy players enjoy. This enforced perfectionism elevates every aspect of his game, creating performance improvements that more than compensate for his physical limitations. During Lou's final seasons, when ALS begins affecting his coordination and strength, the broken hand that never healed becomes both a burden and a source of resilience. His experience adapting to permanent limitation provides psychological tools for dealing with progressive disability, though the neurological nature of ALS presents challenges that physical adaptation cannot overcome in the same way his broken hand could be managed through technique modification. Lou never seeks corrective surgery for his broken hand, even after his baseball career ends, and there would be no professional consequences for admitting to the injury and pursuing proper treatment. By then, the adapted hand has become part of his identity. The disability has been integrated into his sense of self so completely that healing it would feel like losing something essential rather than gaining something beneficial. When doctors examine Lou during the final stages of his illness, they discover the old break and are amazed that he played professional baseball for 14 years, with such significant damage to his non-dominant hand. Medical professionals who review his case in subsequent years consider his adaptation to permanent hand injury one of the most remarkable examples of athletic compensation in sports medicine history. Eleanor finds Lou's medical records after his death, including X-rays that show the full extent of his broken hand and documentation of the damage that never healed properly. She realizes for the first time how much pain Lou endured daily, how much effort went into simple tasks that healthy people take for granted, how much courage was required not just to play professional baseball with a broken hand, but to excel at it while hiding the handicap from the world. The hand that never healed becomes a metaphor for Lou Gehrig's entire approach to adversity and limitation. Rather than seeking solutions that might require temporary setbacks for long-term benefits, Lou consistently chose to adapt to permanent challenges rather than accepting temporary interruptions that might lead to complete healing. His broken hand taught him that human beings can transcend their apparent limitations through creativity, determination, and willingness to develop new ways of achieving their goals despite physical constraints. Lou's hidden handicap reminds us that the people we admire most may be overcoming challenges we never suspect. That apparent ease of performance often conceals enormous effort and adaptation, and that true strength is not the absence of limitation, but the refusal to be defined or defeated by the limitations we cannot change. The Iron Horse earned his nickname not because he was indestructible, but because he learned to function perfectly while permanently broken in ways that no one else could see. Who in your life is performing at high levels while managing hidden challenges you never suspected? What limitations have you learned to work around rather than seeking to eliminate completely? Lou Gehrig's broken hand that never healed reminds us that heroism often looks like ordinary performance achieved through extraordinary adaptation to circumstances that would stop most people from trying at all.